guys, welcome back. I'm sorry I'm so blown out. You can see there we go, my coordination's all fucked up. My light's back there, which I did not set up. Today, this is going to be kind of a two-part video. If you're not aware, Rammstein just released their last album a couple weeks ago. It's called Zeit, and I'm gonna do a more in-depth, but still off-the-cuff review of that in the latter half of this video. But I just want to say it's a fantastic album, and I highly recommend it. I am just going to talk about my relationship with Rammstein and Neue Deutsche Härte and metal music even more broadly. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be doing something YouTube does not like, which is crushing my endocannabinoid production. And there's been some requests for gum chewing, so we're going to try that also. This video is not going to be monetized. It is what it is. So, my relationship with music really started after my parents got divorced when I was 5 when they got divorced, but my dad was one of those dads that was like, okay, I can now introduce my kid to all sorts of shit that his mom probably would not be so into, and one of those things was movies and music. So when I want to say I was 7, I was watching a public access program here in the United States called Zoom, which was like a tween. It was targeted at like 10 to 13-year-olds, I guess, but it was a super hip early 2000s, late 90s kids show, basically. And there was a science segment on it, and they used the song, I don't remember the name, I probably could have looked it up, the song from the lobby fight in the first Matrix movie, where Neo and Trinity come in and then they plant the bomb in the elevator and whatever. And my dad heard that and he said, hey, do you want to see the scene that this song comes from? Because he recognized it. And so he played me just the lobby fight of the first Matrix, which was my first exposure to that movie, which, if you've seen one of my previous videos, you will know that's my favorite series. So this was a formative time in my aesthetic tastes. So then, it was maybe a month. I hope that's pegging my mic on the computer. I hope that's not actually overriding the gain. Within, a month or two, my dad started playing the Matrix soundtrack for me in the car on the way to elementary school. And I have two specific memories about that. One is parking in the garage after having come back at the end of the day, and sitting in the car and finishing, I want to say it was Marilyn Manson's This Is the New Shit. Which, by the way, don't listen to Marilyn Manson, man. The stuff he did was fucked up. I used to listen to him, but anyways, that's a different topic. And the other is listening to Rob Zombie's Super Beast. Those are the two memories I have of that. But as a consequence of that, by the way, neither of those songs are actually in the movie, because the way the Matrix soundtracks work is they're music from and inspired by, or that inspired the movie. So basically the Wachowskis picked out songs that they liked, I guess, or asked for submissions or something, and they ended up on the album. And one of the songs that ended up on the album for the first Matrix was Du Hast, which just a couple years earlier had been featured in Lost Highway, which I think is probably why they picked it. Anyways, I was introduced to this song and I was like, like, holy shit, this is great. And my dad actually did his best with his extremely limited understanding of German to explain to me what the song was about. Then he showed me the music video, and that was it. I was hooked. And so I've basically been listening to Rammstein since I was in, what, 3rd or 4th grade. And otherwise my music taste was fairly edgy, but standard. Marilyn Manson, Limp Bizkit, I was a little late to that. Linkin Park. I tried to get into KMFDM. That's a little weirder, I think. Rob Zombie, and then, you know, I liked Apocalyptica and whatever. It wasn't until I was in high school, really, that my taste in... If you're not aware, Rammstein is part of a genre called Neue Deutsche Härte, which is a indigenous German metal genre. I don't have a definition in front of me, but my conception of it is it's the intersection of dance music and industrial metal. And it often has gothic or operatic sounds or concepts woven in there. So it wasn't until high school that I started discovering other bands. I got into Eisbrecher, I got into Oomph, and then later I found Stahlmann and Heilish and Erdling, and I mean there is a wide world of Neue Deutsche Härte music. But Rammstein was always the band. I mean, it's the German band, right? Everybody knows Rammstein well. You know what I mean? But by the time my music taste was expanding, their last album was 2009, and I graduated high school in 2014. So by the time I was an adult, Rammstein hadn't put an album out in 5 years. And I don't think they intended that. So there was never anything like, they never said anything like, we're done. At least to my knowledge, they never said anything like, we're done, we're not going to make any more. It seems like they just kind of drifted apart, and granted, you know, I wasn't, and I'm still not super tuned into like the music scene. I just listen to it. But I had just sort of accepted that, okay, they're probably not going to make any more music. But they were still my number one. They were still my go-to. And so then when I heard that Rammstein was working on a new album, by the way, I think I first heard about that in 2015. I think that was the first time I remember hearing anything about that. That was exciting. I was psyched. And the album came out, and it was fucking kick-ass. And then they said, this is going to be our last album. We have some more ideas that we didn't get to execute on, but this is going to be our last album. So I sort of, that was just like, okay, they're actually saying they're done. They released one last great album, and now they're done. And then Zeit got announced. And that was really exciting. I think mostly because it made me feel like that thing, I think it was fuck, I can't remember his name, the guy that's got the weird bowl cut now, one of the guitarists, who said that they had some more ideas that they didn't get to use. So I was thinking, okay, awesome. It's probably going to be kind of similar to Rammstein. And this is where we get into, I guess, spoilers for the album. Is that a thing? I don't know. But I was listening to this in the gym. I had started it in the car on the way to the gym, and then I got there, and I had initially planned to keep listening to it in the car and just listen to other stuff in the gym, so I didn't have, the experience muddied or whatever for my first listen. But I couldn't help myself. And I'm listening to it, and, it's fantastic, and I'm getting really into it. And then this last song comes on, man. We'll just start with this song for actually talking about the album. It's called Adieu, and it is what it sounds like. They have written other songs before, Adios, namely, that seem to be saying goodbye, but Adieu is really, really powerful. It's basically it's them saying goodbye. It's them saying thank you. And saying that, it's not really over. We're always with you. And as he says several times, you're always with us. And I'm sitting at the bench press, crying, and trying to hide it, because that's pretty fucking weird, to just start crying in the gym. But I think this is shared by a lot of people. But my relationship with Rammstein is such that when I heard him, actually, it really felt like he was saying goodbye to me. And that was really cool. It was really cool. Let me go ahead and pull the album up so I can just look through the songs. So, this is sort of a general thing, but Rammstein feels as if they've grown as I have. They've matured as I have. Their first two albums are super industrial. Their production value is relatively low compared to the rest of their stuff. Extremely edgy music. Then, as time goes on, the edge gets rolled a little bit, but they start to have more of a point to the music beyond it just being edgy. I mean, Mutter is a song about, ethical considerations about human cloning compared to what Du riecht so gut, which is about a guy chasing a woman through a forest. But Zeit feels like the culmination of that journey of maturation. It's beautifully produced. They use auto-tune for the first time, and they use it very effectively. It's like Rammstein was. It's a very grounded album. Deutschland and Radio on Rammstein were both very personal songs for them. singles, Zeit and Zigzag, which were the first two singles they released, both feel very personal. And they actually carry similar themes, which is the inevitability of aging and death, ultimately. And what a pair of songs to release as your singles for the album. And then their third single also felt very mature because it was, to my knowledge, the only time they have hit a social issue so directly and so hard. That music video fucking rocks. It is so goddamn good. Visually spectacular, thematically spectacular. Till Lindemann in a straitjacket with his Boris Johnson hair, headbanging in front of a microphone. I mean, what more could you ask for? That was awesome. But they never would have written that kind of song early on. And so I think growing with the band is part of why I feel so connected to them. On top of that, they have a couple of what I would call comedy songs, kind of like Pussy, where, yeah, I'm sweating like crazy, sorry about that. It's just meant to be humorous. It's light, light for the most part. It's joking around, even if it has something to say, and that's okay. And Dig a Titten, which are a song about having sex without a condom and how much better that feels. And I only looked over the lyrics once for these songs, so could be getting the point wrong. And then the other one is about a guy who wants a girlfriend, and his only requirement is that she has big tits. And mixing those two songs in with an otherwise pretty serious and mature album, I think really makes it, because you get to see their brand of humor coming through in, like I said, an otherwise, I mean, Zigzag is also a joke song, but it's dealing with a serious thing. But their sense of humor is so wonderful, and it lines up quite well with my own, and that may be because they informed mine. This album was, I think, the best way I could have asked them to end their career as Rammstein. It feels so deliberate and so thoughtful and so clever. And if you haven't listened to it, even if you're not a fan of Rammstein, I recommend it. I especially recommend Adieu and Zeit and Zigzag and Angst. Those are the final track on the album, and then the 3 singles that they released. I also recommend Dig a Titten just because it's fun. It's a great blend of Bavarian polka and heavy metal, it's a blast. It's a great time. And by this point, with Rammstein, there were a couple songs, Papa in particular, that I remember getting tired of. That hasn't happened with this new one yet. Some of them have grown on me. Some of them I loved from the beginning. I mean, I loved all of them, but there were some that, on first listen, I knew they were special. And there are others that I've had to listen to a couple times to really, I think, appreciate. Giftish is one of those that, when I first heard it, it was, I was lukewarm on it. But it's grown on me. So, I recommend listening to it at least a couple of times. And something I've enjoyed doing is listening to their discography from beginning to end. I don't listen to the special edition albums when I do that, nor do I listen to the Lost Tracks album. Stuff like Bestie and 5-4 and stuff like that. I leave those out. Just listen to their standard release albums from Herzeleid all the way through Zeit. It's really fun to hear how they changed and how much they changed. They've been making music for almost 30 years. Which is, it's amazing to me that they were able to come back after 10. There was a 10-year hiatus between Liebe ist für alle da and Rammstein. And to come out fucking swinging. They did not... They did not just get back together because they wanted to make some more money. There was a serious creative drive behind Rammstein and Zeit. And I understand that their songwriting process is relatively democratic, which I think may be why they took such a long break, because there was some sort of interpersonal conflict, I think. The creative differences, they couldn't agree on things or whatever. And bands do this, but to come back so strong, I was just, man. Anyways, this was rambling. Not much of a review. The album's fantastic. I highly recommend it. Production values are as good as Rammstein. Oh, that's something. Flake, the keyboardist, he is putting in the work on this album. The songs feature him pretty heavily, which is awesome. I'm glad, because his keyboard really makes Rammstein as special as it is, in terms of their style. But yeah, sorry about that. I hope you guys found some sort of enjoyment from this, or at least enjoyed looking at my messy office. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.